Recently, prolific director Mathew Vaughn suggested that Star Wars should do a reboot. We're talking a brand new Luke Skywalker, a brand new Han Solo, a brand new Princess Leia, going back and telling those stories over again. And after he made these comments, Star Wars fans reacted as you would expect.
Move this man!
But here's the thing, guys. I actually think that Mathew Vaughn has a point. And in fact, I think, unfortunately, he might be right.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
At this point, it's not even a secret that Star Wars is on the decline. Just the numbers themselves speak to this. People disengaging from the franchise overall. Again, most people can acknowledge this. Most people understand that that is what is happening. But few people are able to really point at what is the overall problem that is making this happen. And even fewer people have a solution for it. And I watched what Matthew said in the podcast, and I gotta be honest, I really think he brings up a really good point. I think he might actually be right. So I want to watch what he says in the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast with Josh Horowitz, because it's important to get the full context. I know we live in the headline reading clickbait era of news and entertainment, and a lot of people just said, bro, you can't reboot Star Wars. What's Mathew Vaughn talking about? But very few people actually watched what he said in the podcast. So let's do that right now.
For me, doing a Star Wars movie is to play with the characters that I loved. So if they said to me, we'll reboot, do you want to reboot Star Wars and actually have Luke Skywalker, Solo, and Vader, and you do your version of it, everyone would say you're an idiot to try, but that would excite me.
Oh my God! You have a death wish. That's so scary to even contemplate
No, but it's
recasting.
fun. That's boring.
Josh is pointing out here, like, you're crazy, like, you have a death wish. And look, the reaction from most Star Wars fans kind of bears this out. Like, people were super triggered by this. I saw a ton of videos, ton of commentary, thinking he's crazy and everything. But, I want to finish what he says here, but, like, just listen to what he said, man. It's about the characters that I love. Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia. He wants to tell the stories with those characters. And I think there's a part of it here which we have to acknowledge that, like, due to what Disney has done, almost the only way you can go tell a story with all of those characters is to reboot. Technically, you could do them in the time of, like, what Dave is doing right now in Dave, the Filoni verse and through Ahsoka. But there seems to be major issues there. I mean, Leia's mentioned in Ahsoka. She doesn't actually show up in Ahsoka, right? And Luke Skywalker, we haven't seen him since he decided he couldn't train Grogu or whatever and sent him on an Uber ride back to the Mandalorian season proper. So it's a weird situation with Luke, Han, and Leia. But it's interesting that Mathew Vaughn's whole idea of rebooting is really rooted in the idea of wanting to tell those stories with those characters. But let's keep going.
Bond, do you mind Bond?
That's true. That's true.
You asked me who's going to play the next Wolverine.
That's true.
Why are these characters so hallowed that from 77 you can't redo it for a new audience? And that's the story. I mean, Star Wars is the Skywalker family.
Yeah.
All right. And that's where I think they've gone wrong, because they've forgot that it's, and they've done brilliantly in the TV, but it needs an epic new film, and that's what I would do. I'd go, right, everyone's going to go batshit crazy, but let's bring it on, because if you want a new generation, make the movie for them, and the old generation can hopefully make it well enough that they go, okay, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And so if you listen to what Mathew Vaughn's actually saying there, he's saying that Star Wars is about the Skywalkers, and that's, in his opinion, where they've gone wrong. And he said, they've been doing okay in the TV realm, but they need an epic new movie, and that's what he would do, reboot it. And he's right in a sense that it would be crazy, and people would be like really interested in it. Maybe a lot of people would hate it just from the concept. They'd be like, oh, I hate it, blah, 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 blah. But I want to linger on this whole Star Wars is about the Skywalkers idea, because it's just so bizarre to look at what Disney has done, right? Because it's literally kind of the case that they can't tell more stories with the Skywalkers, at least moving forward through the episodic movies, at all, because they've literally killed them all. Leia, dead. Han Solo, dead. I know he's not a Skywalker, but he is a Skywalker by marriage, and he's a huge part of those movies. And his children in Legends, which I'm going to get to Legends in a second here, his children in Legends are absolutely Skywalkers. They have Skywalker blood. That's the whole big draw there. But he's dead. Luke, did I already say Luke? Yeah, dead. Right? Leia, dead. Ben Solo, dead. The last remaining Skywalker. Now, there's Rey, who's an adopted Skywalker that actually has Palpatine blood. And here's the thing, man. Like, I know, again, there's a few of you out there that love Rey and want to see Rey's story continue. She's not a Skywalker. if they had made her a Skywalker, perhaps, maybe this could have worked. Maybe they could have pushed it forward. But from where we stand right now, all of those characters cannot actually move forward through the story. And by the way, you can even see that through the lensing of Dave Filoni. He's more interested in that time period when the Skywalkers were still around. I mean, he's building up towards an Heir to the Empire movie. He's literally a big part of bringing Luke Skywalker back, of having Luke Skywalker meet Ahsoka in the Book of Boba Fett show. So even through his lensing, I think he understands that the Skywalkers are what Star Wars is, and that's what he's interested in telling the story about. And it also kind of reminds me of this thing that's happening right now with a lot of the stuff that Dave Filoni is seemingly retconning in his material, right? There's this viral video going around of Sam Witwer where he's talking about a moment where he had a disagreement with Dave Filoni because something didn't line up perfectly within the canon to the things that he remembered to be actual canon stories. And Dave said, no, Sam, it's actually good that these things are different because they're all just stories being told to you at the campfire. And it's fun that there are differences. Maybe this one storyteller tells this event in a certain way. Maybe this other person tells the storyteller and the lightsaber's a different color. And maybe it happens in a slightly different kind of way, but it's all the same story. And in the tradition of storytelling and this sort of Joseph Campbell thing, right? The hero of 1,000 faces. It's not like all of the stories were identical. It's not like the heroes were the exact same hero, but a lot of the story elements, their development, the trials that they had to face, you know, the friendships they made, the bonds they made, and the journey they went on, all of those elements are very similar. That's what the hero of 1,000 faces is about. That's what the Joseph Campbell monomyth hero's journey is about. And so within that same logic, rebooting the actual Skywalker story, like the Luke finding out about Vader, taking on that burden, training to be a Jedi and defeating the Empire and redeeming his father in the process, that story can be told a million different ways. And I think there is some truth here to the idea of allowing that story for a new generation to happen. I know it sounds blasphemous to Star Wars fans, and I'm going to talk about maybe a way they can sort of do this without actually like rebooting things in just a second here. But it's interesting that Mathew Vaughn talks about Wolverine and the new Wolverine, and they're talking about the new James Bond, and he's right. And I also just want to say, I've been reading through the Fate of the Jedi books, okay? I was obsessed with the Abeloth theories during Ahsoka and had a lot of fun with Ahsoka because of the theories that Dave kind of puts into that show and a lot of the myth and the lore of Star Wars. I thought it was fantastic, right? So I went back and I'm reading now this 9-book series all about sort of Abeloth and all these really wild concepts that were done in Legends, okay? But reading through those books, man, you just get this feeling that Disney just really screwed it up because Han Solo is awesome in that first book. That's the one I just recently read. Luke Skywalker is amazing. His son, Ben Skywalker, is amazing. And it's incredible to see Luke be a father and a Jedi master to his son, Ben Skywalker, who's just like this young kid that kind of acts like Luke, but he's got red hair like Mara Jade. It's fascinating. Jaina Solo is absolutely incredible, and her relationship with Jag Fell is fantastic. And Han and Leia are so good together. There's this whole plot in the first book where they're trying to save Kessel, and there's like some weird, maybe Jedi-like, celestial-like technology that's on Kessel. And so you're combining Han's incredible piloting and know-how of like explosives and just all the tech savvy stuff that he knows with Leia's ability to communicate to these sort of Force devices via her connection to the Force. It's awesome to see them working together. And basically what I'm saying, guys, is like, as I was reading through that book, I was like, man, this really is Star Wars. Like, this is what it is. And it's a damn shame that Disney decided to kill these characters off, to not give them proper lineage. I mean, Star Wars is all about family, and you literally destroy that idea. No lineage, no more Skywalkers, and yet you recognize that the Skywalker name is of enough reverence that you want to bestow it upon Rey. It doesn't make sense. It's dissonance. But okay, I know some of you guys are like, dude, I'm with you on the problems, but the reboot's not the solution. And maybe you're right. Maybe they can't do that. I think partially Dave has a chance here in Ahsoka season 2, or maybe in the further like Mando, shows, or maybe just in his big movie that's coming. He has a chance to do some really cool stuff with the characters of Han, Solo, Leia, Organa, and Luke Skywalker. Maybe we get a lot of fun with them. But that's not going to carry us forward past episode 9. That's not going to give us more Skywalkers down the line. Again, you might say that Rey is the solution to that, but I disagree. Unless somehow Ben Solo comes back and they have children together, there's no way we're going to get the Skywalker lineage, the true Skywalker lineage, actually moving forward. So maybe they do that. They bring Ben Solo back and they give us, a lineage of Skywalkers down the line. Maybe that could work. It doesn't even have to be with Rey, you know what I mean? Honestly. But there's another way they could do this that I really would love to see, and it would have to do with Luke Skywalker having some kind of a child that then he kept secret from Rey, from Han, and from a lot of different people, perhaps even for a very specific reason. You could tie this into the whole Abeloth thing and him wanting to keep this child away from the clutches of Abeloth and make some kind of weird story as to why he hid his child and his lover from the rest of the galaxy. You could even have Han and Leia having a child before Ben. Maybe this child was thought to be miscarried, but the doctors took the child. Maybe the child died in an accident, and it's just so painful that Han and Leia never actually spoke up about it. I don't know, because even if you don't agree with Mathew Vaughn about rebooting these characters and treating them like James Bond or the comic book characters, I think you have to admit he's got a pretty strong point when it comes to the story of Star Wars being about the Skywalkers and Disney going away from that and almost like purposely shutting off the possibility of that happening is such a weird move, and I think a huge L and a big part of why Star Wars fans just don't seem to be able to all come together for a lot of this Disney Plus and coming movie stuff. I mean, think about it. What are the biggest moments in Star Wars over the past couple of years? It's Luke Skywalker showing up at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. It's Luke Skywalker showing up in the Book of Boba Fett. It's Anakin Skywalker showing up in the Ahsoka show. It should just be obvious if you're just looking at the way the fandom reacts to these sort of things. Those are the things that people really engage with, that cheer for, and that get them excited. Everything else is just flatly not working. So of course, let me know what you think. I know it sounds crazy, but do you kind of think maybe now, they should reboot? Or are you kind of more of a fan of the secret Skywalker children as a way to kind of get us back to what Star Wars should actually be? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.